If you've been waiting for a cruiser that blends old-school soul with modern smoothness, then the 2026 Yamaha V Star 950 is the exact kind of surprise you didn't see coming. At first glance, it looks familiar: low stance, stretched tank, long fenders, but spend just 5 seconds looking closer and you realize Yamaha has updated the V Star with a quiet confidence. Nothing overly dramatic, nothing trying too hard. Instead, it carries that classic cruiser attitude with small, precise refinements that make it feel fresh again. And that's exactly why riders who loved the original V Star are suddenly paying attention, because this isn't a redesign for the sake of a redesign. This is Yamaha understanding what made the bike iconic, and sharpening the edges just enough for a new generation. The story of the new V Star 950 begins with the message Yamaha is sending to cruiser riders who don't want massive engines, complicated electronics, or oversized frames. They want a bike that feels friendly for daily use, comfortable on long routes, and smooth enough to ride for hours without fatigue. And yet, they want style, lots of it. The 2026 V Star delivers that balance beautifully. It keeps the proportions long and low, giving the bike presence, but still remains compact enough to handle city traffic, tight U-turns, and everyday riding without intimidation. This is where the competitor channels usually highlight that perfect mid-size cruiser angle, and Yamaha has leaned fully into that identity. But where things get interesting is the upgraded refinement. The engine remains a 942 cubic centimeters air-cooled V-twin, but Yamaha has reworked the internal mapping, making throttle response smoother, mid-range torque stronger, and vibrations more controlled. So you still get that classic V-twin rumble, but without the harshness that older models sometimes carried. And this is where contrast framing becomes powerful. It's still a simple cruiser to look at, but it rides like something more premium. You get that relaxed pull from low RPMs, the effortless glide, and the kind of smooth power delivery that makes the bike feel predictable in the best way. It's not about explosive acceleration, it's about the experience, the calmness, the comfort that pulls you into longer rides without even noticing. And speaking of comfort, Yamaha has clearly focused on making this version more rider-friendly. The seat is redesigned with better density layering, the handlebar sweep is slightly revised for a more natural reach, and the foot placement feels even more intuitive than before. Little things, but when a rider spends an hour on the bike, those little things become the main things. Even the suspension has been retuned with a more forgiving setup that absorbs bumps without feeling too soft. This is the kind of improvement that the competitor never explains in detail, but riders always notice. Look closely and you'll also see Yamaha has improved the aesthetics without losing the old-school charm. The tank now has a more sculpted line, the exhaust design is cleaner, and the LED headlamp gives a sharper glow at night while keeping the retro cruiser expression intact. Nothing steals attention, everything works together. It's the kind of visual harmony that's rare in this segment. By the time you start the engine and settle into the saddle, the bike feels exactly like what a mid-size cruiser should be: approachable, stylish, stable, and ready to be enjoyed. What really sets the 2026 Yamaha V Star 950 apart is how predictable, calm, and confidence-boosting it feels the moment the wheels start rolling. The power delivery is steady and friendly, giving newer riders the comfort they want while still offering enough low-end strength for experienced riders to enjoy. This balance is rare, because most mid-size cruisers either lean too soft or too aggressive. But Yamaha has placed the V Star 950 right in the middle, not intimidating, not underpowered, just effortlessly smooth. And if you ride in the city, this matters more than any horsepower number. The bike pulls cleanly from low RPMs, making stop-and-go traffic feel less tiring, and the belt drive keeps everything quiet and low maintenance. Without drama. Without stress. Just pure, easy riding. Then there's the handling, something the V Star surprisingly excels at for its size. Because even though the bike looks long, it doesn't feel heavy when you're actually moving. The redesigned frame geometry makes cornering cleaner, more predictable, and far more stable than older cruiser models in this class. And while competitors often push the big cruiser feel, Yamaha has done the opposite. They've given the V Star a planted, balanced ride that doesn't punish the rider during slow turns or tight parking maneuvers. The low seat height contributes to this ease, allowing riders to flat-foot confidently at signals or slow roll situations. On open roads, the bike transforms again, settling into a smooth, consistent rhythm that makes long-distance cruising almost meditative. The engine doesn't feel stressed, the suspension absorbs rough patches without complaint, and the ergonomics let you stay relaxed mile after mile. Even the wind management is better now, thanks to small design adjustments around the tank and forks. Together, these improvements make the V Star 950 not just a city-friendly cruiser but a genuine weekend travel companion. And for riders who love exploring highways at a chill, steady pace, this is exactly the sweet spot they look for. The instrument cluster keeps things simple, no heavy tech, no distractions, just clear information. It's a deliberate choice, because Yamaha knows this audience prefers feel over features, riding over scrolling through menus. You get modern necessities like improved lighting, revised cooling efficiency, and better ECU calibration. But the overall personality stays analog and emotional. It feels like a bike you form a bond with, not a machine overloaded with electronics. And that brings us to the heart of the V Star's appeal, identity. This is a cruiser that stays true to its roots. It carries classic charm without pretending to be retro, and modern refinement without sacrificing character. Yamaha didn't build it to dominate spec sheets, they built it to be a motorcycle people enjoy riding every single day. Smooth, simple, stylish, reliable, and inviting. Whether you're a new rider stepping into the cruiser world or a returning rider who wants comfort without complication, the 2026 V Star 950 is designed for you. At a time when many bikes are going bigger, heavier, louder, or more technology-driven, the V Star does something bold by doing the opposite. It sticks to the essentials, the things that make cruising meaningful. A relaxed engine, a timeless flow of torque, effortless control, and a design that turns heads without shouting. This bike isn't trying to be the fastest, the most advanced, or the most aggressive. It's built for riders who appreciate the joy of smooth riding, the pleasure of simple mechanics, and the feeling of being connected to the road without filters. And in that simplicity, the 2026 Yamaha V Star 950 becomes something surprisingly powerful, a reminder that motorcycling can still be pure, calm, expressive, and beautifully personal. Yamaha didn't just update a model, they restored a riding experience many thought was fading away. The V Star 950 is back, and it proves that sometimes, the most meaningful motorcycles are the ones that don't try to impress you, they simply make you want to ride.